Greetings, I'm John Phillips, and we hope you're having a great Thanksgiving weekend. Because it's such a special time of year, we have a very different type of show for you right here on Up or Down. Sitting in for Michelle Fields is our pal Scott Ott, and as always, we're joined by stand-up comic extraordinaire, Stephen Cruiser. Look at that ponderous look on Cruiser's face. You know what he's thinking right now? Is it going to be pumpkin or pecan?
Pumpkin.
They're going to judge our topics with a thumbs up or a thumbs down, but rather than interesting news topics from the week, we're going to decide whether we're thankful or not for several things which have occurred throughout the last year. So let's go ahead and get started. The midterm election results are first on our list. Republicans won the largest majority in the House and Senate since Herbert Hoover was in the White House. Republicans say they want to work with President Obama while also pushing forward on their own agenda. So up or down, are you thankful for the big GOP majorities? Stephen Cruiser.
With the stipulation that I reserve the right to redo my thumb in late January, early February. But as of this moment, I'm very happy. Once they go to work, we'll see where we're thumbing then. Okay.
Scott Ott, are the Republican gains going to make it into your toast on Thanksgiving?
Yeah, well, how did you know I eat toast on Thanksgiving? It is still a little bit of butter on top. It's wonderful. You know, here's how it is with the Republican majority coming into the Senate. A thumbs up for divided government. I am a huge fan of divided government. I think it's exactly what the framers intended, and we can't get enough of divided government. However, do I think because the Republicans now have a majority in the Senate that we're suddenly going to get all those things, even after President Obama moves on, and even if we get a Republican president, are we suddenly going to get all those things that they promised us? I'm going to give it one of these here because I really think it's a lot easier to be a bold conservative when you're in the minority. Now that they're in the majority, we're going to find out that things are a little more problematic and subtle and nuanced than they used to be.
Well, I'm going to put you on the spot here, Scott. Are we going to get the Keystone Pipeline?
We are going to get the Keystone Pipeline if we build it with our own bare hands. Yeah, no, I think we will get it in this next session of Congress. I mean, that sort of a test vote, I don't even know why they bothered to do it before the end of this session. But yeah, I think that can happen. I think it makes a lot of sense to a lot of people. Even people who are concerned about the environment. Hey, why don't we take all that oil and ship it across the Pacific Ocean to the Chinese so that we can dump it in the ocean and then have the Chinese with their no pollution standards stinking up the planet with it? It makes more sense for us to be taking care of the transportation of that stuff.
On to topic number 2. When Ray Rice was caught on camera hitting his then fiancée in an elevator, it sparked a national discussion about domestic violence among athletes. So several sports franchises and leagues have cracked down on domestic violence perps. The NBA suspended Jeffrey Taylor of the Charlotte Hornets. The NHL suspended Slava Voinov, how's that for a pronunciation, from the LA Kings. And the NFL suspended Adrian Peterson, the Minnesota Vikings, all for varying degrees of domestic violence. So up or down, are you thankful for the attention on domestic violence among sports stars? Stephen Cruiser.
It's a tough way to respond to that. I guess I am thankful that there is some attention being paid right now, but we're way in the too little. I'm not going to say too little, too late, but it's not like this is all new stuff that hasn't been happening and suddenly just happened in the last 4 months and they're paying attention to it. So I think it's shameful. I'm definitely not going to applaud any of these leagues for what they're doing right now because they should have been paying attention to this long ago.
Scott Ott?
Well, number one, I think it's tokenism. I seriously think, you know, when you say out of the thousands of people who are playing all these professional sports, they've got, you know, 3 people that we can think of that they're actually cracking down on. Number 2, I'm not sure whose responsibility this is to rein in what players do on their own private time. I mean, the company that you work for is not generally directly responsible for making sure that you're punished for things that happen outside of the workplace. Now, obviously, if you have you know, if you're doing something that affects the reputation of the company, you'd expect the company to take action. But this is really the purview of the police and the, you know, in many cases, social service agencies. So I don't know why we come down on the NFL and say, well, you've got a responsibility to do this.
I agree. I can't think of any other employers that have to deal with this.
Well, there aren't many other employers that get antitrust exemptions either, or make billions of dollars off of being highly publicized, televised companies. So it's an apples and oranges kind of comparison.
Moving on, we've had a ton of record highs in the stock market this year. That's why Stephen Cruiser can afford that shirt he's wearing. From the S&P index to the Dow Jones, many of the stock market's measurements have skyrocketed. In fact, the U.S. stock market closed its 5th straight week of gains with a record high last week. So up or down, are you thankful for the stock market resurgence? Stephen Cruiser.
Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. And what's amazing is a lot of my hardcore liberal progressive fans love it right now too. Big stock market fans, because this is one of the consistently good things that they can point to into the Obama years. So as soon as they start, stock market, I say, so then you're okay with me investing my Social Security money in the stock market now? And then suddenly they're not stock market fans
No,
anymore.
they want to make the money. They don't want you to make the money. Scott?
We know for Grandma and Grandpa who have their retirement savings in the stock market, and for so many pension plans across the country, obviously I'm glad that stocks are doing well. However, I think we're going back into the same cycle that we had before, in which when the government bailed out some of these big banks and corporations, basically what they did was made sure that they would have to do it again. That we locked in the concept of too big to fail. Rather than letting the markets hit their natural bottom and recover from there and let companies that have to break up, and let companies that have to go bankrupt, we saved them from that. And we're now going into another big boom where everybody's going to think that the terrible thing can't happen again, and it'll happen again. And
look at all the mergers that have happened since then. We've had more airline mergers. You now have Continental and United that have merged. You have Time Warner that might merge with Fox. So you have lots of companies that are getting bigger, and you could make the case to Wall Street to say, hey, now you have even more of a reason to bail us out because we're even bigger than we were before.
That's right. There's no going back on this. The government set a precedent that will go on forever until somebody who has the guts to say no gets in there. And I'm not going to say too much about the issue of mergers because I'm a Time Warner cable customer, and they just gave us 100 megabits per second of internet for no extra charge. And so as far as I'm concerned, merge with whoever you want to. Just keep the bandwidth coming, baby.
Yeah, talk to a Dodger fan here who couldn't see his team, though.
Yeah, I hope Time Warner dies. They're awful human beings. But no, you know what? And I agree with both of you on that, too. But still, that doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with the stock market. The fact that everything else is going, I mean, if you know that this planned obsolescence is there, then you know what to ride out and when there are going to be buying opportunities, too. So if you're still a fan of stocks and investing in stocks, the fact that the government is screwing things up can be taken advantage of if you know what you're doing.
Moving on to topic number 4. When television legend Barbara Walters retired from hosting The View, several people were talked to about being a replacement, including our own Tammy Bruce and Michelle Fields. They decided to bring back a firebrand host from the past, Rosie O'Donnell. But now O'Donnell and co-host Whoopi Goldberg hate each other. They can't stop bickering. They can't stop getting into it. And the ratings have taken a nosedive. So up or down, are you thankful for the new cast of The View, Stephen Cruiser?
DVR in those cat fights as often as I can now. Yeah, I love watching the hatred. Who would have thought that Rosie Perez would end up being the calm voice in this group there, and not the most shrill of the voice? Yeah, I love watching them go at each other. Now we need some behind the scenes with.
Now, Scott, this is a trick question for you because you don't own a TV.
Well, actually, I do own a TV, but I control heavily what comes into it. We have Netflix and stuff like that, but we don't have television service. We don't subscribe to cable or what do they call that one that's on your roof? I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to give this a thumbs up. First of all, because the lives of Michelle Fields and Tammy Bruce have been spared. And I think that's just the good work of a gracious God who saved them from having to be part of that panel. But I also
Another
think
Thanksgiving miracle.
That it's the further the further marginalized these folks can become, the better. And as my friend Bill Whittle often says, liberals want conservatives to shut up. Conservatives want liberals to keep talking. Keep talking, ladies. Keep talking.
Speaking of talking, the new iPhone 6 was released this year to much fanfare with its new features like Apple Pay and bigger display. You can also get a watch to go along with your mobile phone. So up or down, are you thankful for the new iPhone, Stephen Cruiser?
Not really, because I have a Galaxy Note 4. So, I mean, in a couple of years, when the iPhone catches up to this, then maybe I'll think it's interesting. But at the moment, iPhone, schmyphone.
You march to the beat of your own drummer. You know that, Cruiser? How about it?
Well, you know, I actually, it came down to me to the Note 4 versus the iPhone 6 Plus. And so I decided to get the Moto X Generation 2 here. I designed my own with this really funky purple color on the back. It, at least up till recently, the Moto X was made in the United States. It runs Android. This is the first non-iPhone phone I've had since the first day that the iPhone came out. And I've been delighted with it. So, but I love the competition. So Apple, keep doing what you're doing. It's awesome.
Be careful who you show that purple phone to there, Scott, because I don't want you to get mugged by a bunch of teenage girls.
Ouch.
They ask for my autograph now. People are like, kids think I'm so cool now because I have this phone. You wouldn't believe how cool I am now.
Okay, moving on. And right in time for Thanksgiving travel. Gas prices have fallen into the basement all throughout the country. AAA reports that the average gas price is $2.81 a gallon, which is 48 cents less than what it was last year. So up or down, are you thankful for lower gas prices, Stephen Cruiser?
This is a really relative thing for Southern Californians. As I have to drive a truck to Arizona this weekend, yeah, I'm kind of thankful for it, but I'd be really, really thankful for it if I ever got anywhere near where these average gas prices we hear about are. Because when we in LA hear about average gas prices elsewhere in the country, we go, that's a fantasy story. That's not true.
It's still over $3 a gallon here.
I paid $3.49 the other day, I think, which is better than the $4.49 it was last year at this time, but I'm pretty sure that's what I paid Sunday night.
What is it in Texas, Scott?
Just a half a mile down the street from my house here in McKinney, Texas, you can pour yourself a tank of gas for $2.49 a gallon. And that is awesome. In fact, it is so cheap. Like you could just, this is like a gas tank, okay? This is a gas can with a little spout on it. It is so cheap that I literally pour some out on the ground every time I fill up. It's just like a sacrifice to give thanks to the petroleum god. This is awesome. And I hope it gets back to where it was when I started driving, which I think was like 39 cents a gallon.
Yeah, that's about what, it was under 50 cents a gallon when I started driving.
If it's only $2.49 a gallon in Texas, then how are all these sheiks supposed to pay for their mistresses in Saudi Arabia?
Well, obviously, they'll need a bailout. The president's working on that.
All their checks to Al-Qaeda are going to bounce.
Yeah.
I want to see sheiks in a soup line. That's the goal. Sheiks in a soup line.
I want to write the musical Shakes in a Soup Line.
Well, we asked your fans on Facebook and Twitter what they were thankful for this year, and here's what a few of you had to say. Amy W. said she's thankful for dogs and cats. Oh. What a coincidence. So are my Vietnamese neighbors.
I like turkey on Thanksgiving.
Stop.
Val A. said, thankful for everything that we still live in a free country, relatively free country that is, that I was able to get out of bed without help, stand up and walk, feed myself, drink my coffee, have a warm home and bed to sleep in, food in the pantry, gas in the car, and a few bucks in my pocket. Doesn't get any better than that, end quote.
There's a solid person right there.
Key to happiness,
There's a well-grounded person right there.
Key to happiness, set the bar low.
There's something to aspire to.
And you can be happy.
I love we got the devil on one side and we got the angel on the other.
And I'm the angel. And I'm the angel.
What a well-grounded person. And Scott Ott's thinking, what a loser.
Who had that?
No, I think it's awesome. That's what I do when I go to a comedy movie. Every comedy movie I go to, I think, this is going to stink. And so if I get one laugh out of it, I'm like, this was an awesome movie.
And finally, Justice to Just said, quote, I'm thankful for PJTV, hashtag up or down. You, my friend, take the cake.
There's an even better human being right there. There is a stellar human being right there.
Look at that. I'm thankful for Justice to Just. That's going to do it for our special Thanksgiving edition of Up or Down. Go ahead and like us on Facebook at facebook.com/PJTV. We'll ask questions right there, and some of your answers could be featured on the show. I'm John Phillips for Stephen Cruiser and Scott Ott filling in for Michelle Fields. Have a wonderful holiday season and enjoy your leftover turkey sandwiches.